Hi, this is Chandrashekhar Prabhu once again. Today we are going to talk about something which is very, very important to all of us. All those who are undertaking self-redevelopment need to understand this issue perfectly. What do we mean by self-redevelopment? Why do we go for self-redevelopment? It is not just because we want to be free from the clutches of the builder. It is not just because the builders have cheated us all the time and because of that 5,800 projects are stuck. It is not just because more than 8 lakh people are on the streets because builders have made them vacate their original places of residence and now they do not know where to go because the rents have been stopped and the project has been abandoned. But there is much more to self-redevelopment that we are trying to do. What is that much more? Much more is our right to decide what the plan of the building is, which means we all have a right to decide who our architect will be. We all have a right to decide who amongst all the best architects in the city and the country can give us the best kind of plan of a house which we have always dreamt. It is also about who should be constructing our buildings, who should be the contractor, which we will decide because it is our right, it is our land and it is our right. It is also because we will decide who should finance our scheme. Incidentally, on the finance situation, we are doing well. I'm sure the Reserve Bank of India will give a clarification to the Mumbai Bank very soon and the loans from Mumbai Bank will be available to all. However, we are not putting all our eggs in one basket. Other than Mumbai Bank, as I told you, we are talking to all the nationalized banks, including the State Bank of India. We are also talking to private banks. We are talking to NBFCs and we are talking to housing finance companies. When all these organizations are willing to fund, why am I sounding an alarm bell? I'm doing that because I got very alarmed when I was talking to some of the NBFCs and HFCs. The builders have their lobby and this lobby has prevailed upon some of the HFCs and NBFCs to insist on the society that look, we will fund you, but the architect will be ours, the contractor will be ours, all the professional will be ours, the project management consultant will be ours, and worse still, they say that we will have a separate project manager who will guarantee your loan to us and that project manager will get profit out of your project. Now this is very shocking and very serious. If we are going to go for self-redevelopment and then under the garb of self-redevelopment, some funding agency is going to tell us that you will take a project manager and he will get X amount of profit. It is not just wrong, but it's fraud. It's a total fraud. The NBFC or HFCs are meant to give loans to the project. They fund the project on terms that are mutually agreed with them. They can participate in the equity by investing with the cooperative housing society. They can participate in the form of debt. They can give us loans. They can lend to us on terms which are mutually agreed. But they cannot put conditions on us that you will take X, Y, Z as a project manager and siphon off the funds from their fund into the project manager where they show that he makes the profit. There could be an internal understanding between these so-called project managers and these fund managers. And this, according to the RBI, I discussed it with the RBI officers. I discussed it with the SEBI officers. And they have made it very clear that this is not what any fund, any NBFC or HFC can do. Sure, they can participate in equity participation. Sure, they can increase the rate of interest when they give us debts or loans. That is their prerogative and that depends on the kind of risk perceived. But they cannot force us to accept a particular fund manager. They cannot force us to say he will be your development manager and you will give X amount of profits to him and he will be responsible for your entire project. Why am I saying this? Because if a society enters into an agreement with the developer, then the developer is responsible if he does anything wrong. If he does something which he is not supposed to do, he commits a fraud, he does wrong things, he commits an illegality, he commits an irregularity, it is the builder and builder alone will be responsible because we have given him our rights to do whatever he wants in return for giving us a flat and certain amount of corpus as agreed by the agreement. But if a fund or a funding agency forces a so-called development manager on us, the funding agency is committing a fraud. They can always get good contractors. They can suggest a Larsen and Toubro, they can suggest a Samsung, they can say you shall not take any contractor other than A-class contractors. They can say your quality of construction should be good. All this is understandable. But if you say, this is my man and he will be your development manager, you shall enter into an agreement with him and he will make profit, and if you allow him to make certain amount of profit and take decisions on your behalf, only then I will fund you, then that's a fraud. So that's not self-redevelopment. Self-redevelopment by its definition does not involve anybody other than the members of the cooperative housing society to take profits. All profits will go to the member. It will be divided and shared amongst the members as they decide on in their general body. The architect gets his fees and gives the best of plans. The project managing company, if at all you appoint a project managing company, that project managing company will manage your construction part from the demolition to the construction. They will be paid certain percentage of the construction cost, period. The fund, the ones who are funding you, whether it is banks, whether it is NBFC, whether it is HFCs, will fund your project. They will ask you how much loan you want. You will discuss the loan, you will discuss the risk, they will discuss the percentage at which the loan is given. They may come in as equity partners if they so wish. They may give debt to you. So these are terms which is agreed. But they are financial terms and financial terms alone. They can also put certain conditions that your planning should be to a certain level, which is good and fair enough. They can also put a condition that the contractor should be of A quality, good enough. They can also put a condition that your project will be completed within certain period of time. That is encouraged and should be appreciated. They can also put a condition that the buyers of the flat should be of good moral character. Very good. But they cannot put a condition that we are imposing a development manager on you and the development manager will get X amount of profit and he will actually guarantee your loan and you have to go with him and no one else. They cannot do that. They can do it under a project which is a development manager's project. Sure enough. Then it is not self-redevelopment. Then there could be three kinds of redevelopment project. One is a project with a builder. Second is a project where the funding agency insists on a development manager, where it will be called a development manager's project with funding. And the third is self-redevelopment. So no advantages of self-redevelopment will go to the other two. Whatever benefits that government has given and is likely to give for self-redevelopment will only go to self-redevelopment projects, not to development managers project, not to the fund which insists on private development manager, and not to the builders project. So that should be clear in our mind. In our mind, the clarity should be there that what we are doing is self-redevelopment, where we invite 8 to 10 good architects, we make them make good presentations, we select from amongst the architects who have given us the best conceptual design. We also select a good structural engineer in consultation with the architect. We then select a good contractor in consultation with the architect, and if necessary with a project management, with a PMC, a project management company, which will help us to ensure quality, ensure timely construction, and ensure that the contractor does everything as per schedule. This is what self-redevelopment ingredients are. So when there will be a lot of funds which will come to you with some new conditions. They will say, we will fund you, don't worry, you come to us, we will give you everything under one roof. Then the latest jargon is everything under one roof. They will say, we will give you everything under one roof, you don't have to do anything, you don't have to use your brains also, we will select the architect, we will select the design. This will cause very serious conflict of interest. Conflict of interest for a self-development would be harmful to the cooperative housing society. So please don't fall into the trap, because we have spoken to officers in the governing organizations. We have spoken to officers within the Reserve Bank of India. We have spoken to those who are knowledgeable on SEBI matters, and they have told us that the funds have their limitations. Funds can't indulge into undue speculation. Funds can give you fund, they can put certain conditions which are mutually agreed, but they cannot impose on you things which you do not want to do. And that is what these people have been doing. I found it very alarming, and hence I decided that I must warn all of you that for self-redevelopment we do need funding. There is a way in which, without accepting funding from anyone, we can still undertake self-redevelopment. But all self-redevelopment project cannot be done without the help of a funding agency. So for most, the funding agency will be required. However, when the funding agency is required and you negotiate with the funding agency, see that they do not do things which they are not supposed to do. And that is a warning. Because I've been talking to funding agencies, and there are some funding agencies who were very, very nice to me. They said, "Oh, you are a great expert, and everyone respects you, and you work for the cooperative housing societies without charging them a penny. You also please help us." And how do you help us? How will we recover our money? We need someone to guarantee this money, and the society can't guarantee because they do not have that kind of collateral. So we will bring in someone who will guarantee the money, and you call him a development manager, and he will then control everything. Society doesn't have to do anything. This is not done. This is not self-redevelopment. So if any funding agency says you take particular fund manager and give him profit, say no, this is not self-redevelopment. In self-redevelopment, the entire profit goes only and only to the cooperative society. Every other player in the self-redevelopment program, whether he be architect, whether he be structural engineer, whether he be MEP consultant, whether he be landscape consultant, whether he be somebody who's advising on finance, whether it's a finance manager, they all work on a percentage basis. The fund decides what is the interest rate, what is the debt. If they come in equity, they decide on equity partnership. However, they have no business to foist or force any fund related decisions which involves a third party taking profit, because then that becomes a fraud. They are not working according to the guidelines set by them. They cannot put these kind of conditions. If they put these kind of conditions, just fold your hands in front of them and say, "Thank you very much. We do not want you to fund our project. Better go to other project, because we want to do our project under self-redevelopment, and what you are suggesting is beyond the scope of self-redevelopment. So we do not want to do anything other than self-redevelopment." That is a lesson that I have learned after talking to several funds. However, not all funds are like that. There are some very, very good funds who are now in the process of working out detailed terms and conditions, rules and regulations for lending to cooperative housing societies. Very soon, these rules and regulations will be finalized. Very soon, the nationalized banks will also finalize the rules and regulations. And according to that, all of the societies which want to go for self-redevelopment will get funding. Till then, the market would have also eased. Till then, the pandemic would have also eased a bit, and we would get back to thinking about economic recovery, and then there would be sales also. With this is Chandrashekhar Prabhu bidding you au revoir, promising you that we shall be back with many more posts. Please watch and comment. Bye for now.